Mark, thank you for
No worries.
taking the time. And
I'm glad you had me.
I know you're an awful busy man, so
We all are. Life is too busy.
You're right. Sometimes we got to take time to enjoy the little things, So
Exactly.
I really appreciate you taking time to come over and talk Rush Creek.
All right.
This is going to be awesome.
That's cool.
It is. So why don't we just jump right into it? How did this idea come about?
This is, on our website, it says 4 guys walk into a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite that
accurate.
That's simple. So the real start is a partner that's not with us anymore. He's alive, but he's not with us anymore.
Understood.
We were looking at a piece of real estate. It was actually a plum tree. And, what can we do with the excess space? There's, several hundred acres there, and the golf course probably consumed 180. And the clubhouse wasn't in great shape, and things needed to be fixed and updated. And we were kicking around ideas for auxiliary businesses that could fit in that ground.
Makes perfect sense because it's an awful big property to be able
Right.
to do that.
And
with.
so it was zoned business, so you wouldn't even have to change zoning. So kicking around wedding venue, boring.
Boring.
No, not for you guys, Wideners. No, not. For you guys, it's a lot more than boring. Yes, I hear great things.
I hear phenomenal things.
So, brewery, at that time, breweries were accelerated and going places. And the other guy said, craft distillery. And I said, such a thing? He said, yes, it's very new. So we started an investigation. The investigation led to picking up a consultant in Louisville, and we actually went down to interview him, hired him, and went through the process of, pros and cons, and we came to the decision that, this is what we're going to do.
So the consultant, this is a consultant for the distill side? Or
the business
side.
The
business side. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But he worked for Maker's Mark. He's
okay.
He's now a friend and a customer.
Yes.
Yeah. I get along with him. We probably talk once every week. He has a small distillery in Michigan. He has a production distillery that he bought in with some other folks that produces, at this time, 18,000 barrels a year. They will more than double that production next year.
Wow.
And triple it the following year. Yeah. So they want to be at 75,000 barrels in 2026-ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
it sounds like a lot.
That is a lot. But you think about that, 75,000, it's is that 200 a day?
Yeah, 200 a day.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of alcohol.
So we produce, in retrospect, about 200 to 225 in a year.
In a year?
In a year.
In a year.
Yeah, we produce between 4 and 5 a week.
Okay. So, yeah, they got an awful big distill up there.
They're just pouring it out.
Pouring it out. So when you guys talked to this consultant, you and your business partners got together and said, yep, we think we can make a run at this.
Yep, exactly.
What came next? I mean, did you guys have to...
Oh, then it's putting together all your applications. You have to actually have distilling equipment before you apply.
Okay, so that was my next. That's what I was going to want to get into here just a little bit. So the distilling equipment, what does some of that consist of for a guy that doesn't know how to distill anything?
You need a still.
Yeah.
And a bunch of containers. And actually for the application, it was kind of, we've got 55-gallon drums or something like that.
Yes.
We actually had a still with the serial number.
Okay.
And the serial number is just stamped in SN 101, whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever number it was.
But something that can be tracked. it's 26 gallons still. We used it. We haven't used it for a while, but just for recipes. But you needed a still, and you also needed the ancillary equipment to ferment, to do some of the other things. So those things were just, 55-gallon garbage can.
Yeah, right. Nothing fancy is
Monday.
what you needed.
Exactly,
Yeah.
just to fill out the applications. You also needed a piece of real estate that you either owned or leased. We went with the route that we're going to own it because we're going to have a lot of money in infrastructure. So we purchased the building, and we started with, now we have something that we can really apply for.
Well, at that point, you have the distill and you have all the statistical things and categorical things that you need to apply for it. And then if you own the building, you can do what you want to that building then.
Correct.
That's the big thing between leasing and renting
Correct.
or owning it. It's now all of a sudden we can look at this and say, okay, this is how we're starting this fresh. So we want to set it up XYZ.
Correct. And not worry about the money we spent because it's ours. Not we're going to be here for 10 years and have to figure something else out.
Yeah, right. Because they say, oh, well, hey, you're doing really good. We're going to really up the rent on you. And you go, wait a minute here. I just put all this money into this building and now I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So we spent we closed in 2016 on that building and went at it as though we already received our licensing.
That a boy.
Yeah.
Way to plan ahead.
Yeah. So we ordered new equipment. The stuff that we have right now, production sized, it's all 600 gallons. So it enables us to produce something that we can make money with.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that 26 gallon still
Yeah.
probably would have not done well.
Actually, the first time we used it, I watched it drip out and I thought, oh, we're never going to make it.
So it was a used still, I'm assuming?
It was. But, I mean, that's just the size. And,
Yeah.
It's coming out like a leaky faucet. The bigger stuff, it comes out like a, half a garden hose running, which feels much better.
Yeah, because you look at that and you go, oh, man, this is going to take forever.
It does.
And now you got this 600 gallon, you go, oh, hey,
Yeah.
production.
Yeah, exactly. So we went, put plumbing, trench drains, put a boiler in, a chiller. Still waiting for the equipment that was promised us in. Actually, we must have ordered that even prior to that because it took a year and a half and they promised us 6 or 8 months.
Is that just because of the backlog of all these distills popping up, or is this just...
That and just bad business practice by the supplier.
Okay, I didn't know if it was one of those, maybe it was a specialty of some sort, or...
That's all pretty specialized, and at that time there was a lot of distilleries coming online, so that size was pretty popular, and there's probably in the United States maybe 4 manufacturers at that time, maybe 3.
Oh, so you had very
little.
Very limited supplier based on what you wanted to get then.
We could have gone, we didn't want to do Chinese, and, that was a more available machinery, but we didn't want to go with Chinese stuff, so.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
What we had to do is wait.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Dan's Diesel Performance. If you're looking to improve your truck's performance, efficiency, or appearance, check out Dan's Diesel Performance. They manufacture turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, transmissions, intake piping, and much, much more. Plus, they offer all the top brands in the diesel industry. They're located in Machesney Park, Illinois. Visit their website at dansdieselperformance.com or give them a call at 815-977-5865. So I'm assuming the stuff that you bought then was American made?
It was, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Go Rush.
Yeah.
So you got all this equipment. You set it all up. Now the fun part comes, right?
Well, it was a little bit more complicated.
Yeah?
It was so delayed that we actually wanted to start production before we opened our tasting room. There was enough delay. I said, well, let's do it simultaneously. So we went gung ho, did the improvements to the tasting room, and we were expecting to produce a little bit and maybe make a little money on that side before we put the tasting room in. I expected like a 6 or 8 month lead time, but it just went one into the other, and it became kind of a simultaneous deal.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, which in retrospect worked out just fine.
Well, you were hoping to have a little bit of a leeway before
Yes,
this happened,
absolutely.
so you could look at it and go, oh, no, this ain't working, or
Yep.
this ain't working, or this is what we got to do. And instead, it was just see what happens.
Yeah. Just do it.
Well, sometimes you got to jump in with both feet, right?
So that came off I think we received our equipment it was Memorial Day. We called it our Lady Liberty.
Nice.
Name of the still. Yes.
Love it.
Yep. So that Monday we received it. It's kind of fun, kind of crazy.
I bet.
And by the time we got that running was mid-September. By the time everything was hooked up, we got our electronics straight. And that's September, August. Mid to end of August, our first day we were open was September 1st on Labor Day. And at that time, it was the first Balloon Fest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we had a fantastic weekend. So
I remember that weekend.
not a soft start.
You said electronics. Does your electronics I'm assuming it's got pressures.
Yes.
It's got how much you're mixing in this and this and this, or
Most of it is just pressure and temperatures,
okay.
and it's automated to a point where you set a temperature, and the chiller will circulate enough water through it to keep it at that temperature. The boiler will open up to a certain amount, and then you can drop it down to a percentage that it's open. So there's ways to control it, and it's somewhat automated. So all those little teeny tiny wires go into different controls.
I remember the conversation that we had quite a long time ago when we first started. And I said, every morning I drive to work, I see your car here. And you said, well, it's supposed to be automated. I remember you telling me that. I said, yep, I know exactly how that goes in a different sense, but I know how that goes.
But you still need the operator.
Well, and it's good. For the first time that you're setting this thing up and you're getting it going, it's good to be there to watch it.
Yep.
Hey, this is what I want this chiller to do. This is what I want the boiler to do. Is it doing it? It's telling me it's doing it, but I can walk out there and look at it and go, okay, it's doing it.
Wait, you got to get the sights, the sounds before the things are operating correctly.
Exactly.
And if you don't know the right sights and sounds, then you don't know the wrong ones either.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So let's see, where were we? We talked about electronics. So your soft start
was probably still the top 10 weekends we've ever had.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's just awesome.
Because there was so many people there. And we decided to charge for parking. Because we're right across from the grounds, we had a lot of parking, and we had kids running around, and
it was a party. It was a good time.
It was a party. It was awesome.
When I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. When you guys got it all set up before your opening weekend, were you creating alcohol before that?
We did with the little still. And we did a couple of runs with the bigger stuff. So it was all kind of coming together at the same time.
When you are mixing your vodka or your bourbon or your trophy whiskey or anything like that, it all goes through the same system?
It does. At that time we brought in the trophy whiskey and the American Gold. Obviously, we didn't have anything aged at that point.
Correct.
So we brought in a couple of browns and we had enough vodka made and enough. God, what else do we have? Gin.
Yep, you had gin back then too.
That was we had the basics, and so we were probably within a week or two of putting up the first barrel of bourbon at that point, and that was the start.
We had that conversation off this. You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
No matter what you're doing, you got to at least put your foot in the door, put both feet in, whatever. You got to get started.
Yep.
Once you get started, then you can critique yourself. You can critique your business. You can critique whatever you want. But to get started is the goal, to get it there.
Yep. And at that, in the beginning stages, it's clears. Clears are quick. And,
the whiskeys, you got to wait a little while to get a good one.
Yeah. So we brought in those two. And right now we have some of that trophy left. And we replicated the American Gold mash bill. And that's probably 2.5, 3 years away from getting to maturation.
Okay. So you do for your whiskeys, you do have a certain shelf life that you want to keep them at. Then.
Yes. So that original one was aged 5 years in used barrels. And now that we're producing our own used barrels, that's when we started replicating that mash bill. And like I said, we expect to have that back in 2.5, 3 years.
That's great.
Yep.
That's not too far away.
No, I know.
When you so you guys create your own barrels there then?
No. But this was put in used barrels, so we weren't harvesting anything to produce our own used barrels. Instead of going to somebody else and buying used barrels, we decided we're going to wait until we have our own used barrels to
make
this, yes.
Why use barrels?
Everything new you have to have for bourbon, straight rise. Most American whiskeys, to be called a straight or a bourbon, it has to be put in new barrels.
Okay.
So used barrels, they've got a place. Breweries love them, and we can use them a second time. We've sent barrels out. Example is this honey. We will harvest the bourbon. Honey guy will pick it up, put honey in it, roll it around, send us that barrel back. That's essentially a used barrel.
Okay.
We'll take the bourbon and put that back in that honeyed barrel and let it rest another year or so, and it picks up a little bit of the honey flavor.
Nice.
So there's a place for the used barrels. We do the same thing with maple syrup. Send it up to Michigan. They fill it with maple syrup, send us the maple syrup bottled. We label it at that point, and they send the barrels back. We put bourbon back in.
So that helps really induce the flavor.
Yes.
Into the bourbon or the whiskey or whatever.
Exactly. You don't get it's not flavor forward. It's kind of a slight flavor. It's an additive type of a flavor. If you drink, say, Honey Jack,
yeah,
that's full of sugar and full of flavors. Most of them artificial, I'd imagine. But it's honey forward. This is whiskey forward with a little honey.
With a little honey on the backside.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And I would say that the sugar amount is very, very, very low if you're worried about your diet. The whiskey's healthy. It offsets the honey.
Perfect. It's like you've never had this conversation before, right?
Never have. Actually, this is a good time to break for one of these.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make sure you show that to the camera there. Make sure everybody gets a good shot of that. There you go.
We're just using little glasses, by the way, so.
Oh, it don't matter.
Any of you guys, but we're going to fill them right to the top.
Don't make it short, right?
Right? So, good reach.
Thank you, sir.
That's why I got to have these podcasts with tall guys.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Ooh, it smells good.
So I get that honey on the second to last note. just before the finish. This is proofed at 82, so it's very drinkable.
Yeah, it's smooth.
Doesn't kick in the teeth. It's very nice. Sipping whiskey with just a auxiliary honey flavor. And
you can really taste that in there. I mean, not really taste it, but you can get that hint in it.
Yep, it's right towards the end, and I like it a lot.
Is it your favorite?
No,
not your favorite.
It can be at times.
Depends on how good it's going down, right? No, that's really smooth. It's I'm not a big whiskey guy, but this is good.
It's just like kids. Whoever behaved best lately, they're your favorite kid.
I wouldn't know, but I understand the term of that.
So this one's behaving just fine. The first one out of the gate. So I'm loving you, honey.
And you guys started doing that one when?
This was maybe 2 years ago we started doing it. The first time somebody asked us for a barrel for honey, it's like, oh, now this is perfect. You can have it. We want it back. And you have to give us a couple week warning before you bring it back. Yes, yes, and yes. So that it doesn't dry out and we end up with a big leaker.
Right.
So everything wet is perfect. So you just, he got it wet, so it held his honey. He sent it back to us wet, held our whiskey, and
you got a flavor.
Yeah, I'm sure this went to a brewery afterwards, and they probably loved it up too.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. Tell me about the process of after you do, you put whatever, your vodka through the still, and then you want to turn around and do some bourbon. Now, I'm assuming all that's got to get cleaned out.
It's pretty simple because it's alcohol. It's not beer. We will go on top of the one prior to that. Everything gets cleaned out after each run anyways, each fermenter. That fermenter gets cleaned out. The differential between vodka and 100% corn and whiskeys, that bourbons that could be 75% corn, there's not a whole lot of difference. And the carryover is not going to get you. The rye, the barley, it's just not going to get you. It's a little bit different yeast, but again, everything's cleaned out.
Yeah, prior to that.
Prior to that next thing going in.
Yeah, that was what I didn't know on. I didn't know if it had to be completely washed out because you're putting a different product in, or cleaned out, not washed. Cleaned is the right way to do it. Or can some of that still be left in there and you just change the?
No, it's all clean, but not to the standards as breweries. Breweries have to be really, really careful. Anything bacterial, anything overlapped in their yeasts, it could ruin the next thing. We distill everything. So
it's all getting broke down anyway.
It's all getting broke down.
Yeah.
It is not as mandatory on a deep clean and bacteria free and making sure that it's complete. I mean, we clean very well, and you've been there.
I absolutely have
been there.
How
clean it is.
It's spotless.
But for their fermentation, their beer to come out, they have to be to the next level.
For beer, but as far as hard liquor goes,
yeah, we distill.
You can break that down.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
When you to move back just a little bit, when you guys built that building, did you have everything in mind that you thought that you wanted to do? As far as, because I mean, you walk into that place and it's unbelievable. It just is. I mean, you walk in and, there's places to sit. There's long, big wood tables that are just awesome in there. You got this beautiful bar that wraps around. Is that something that you guys just said, this is how we want this? Or did it take time to sit down and say, this is?
Well, I looked at the production first and made a mental note where that wall is going to go. And the bathrooms were up there. The store was up there. there wasn't an opening out into that tasting room. But just looking at it said, oh, this makes sense, this makes sense. The loft was there. There's a bathroom up there that wasn't finished. So a lot of it was kind of made the layout simple to say, this is where this should go, this is where this should go. We hired a gal from Rockford, Cheryl Francine, and she's done some really cool stuff over there. And she kind of put the finishing touches on it, and, you know, the colors and the tile and
the steel.
Yeah. She started all that with Jonathan Serra, and, you know, another local guy, a kid. He's about your age, isn't he?
I'm not sure how old he is.
I bet he's 33-ish,
Yeah,
32.
close to my age.
Yeah.
A little younger
Kid.
than me, but
Yeah,
hey, it's all in perspective, right?
it is.
I mean, a 5-year-old's going to think I'm an old man, so
Right? Ready for the grave.
I wouldn't go that far yet. At least I hope not. No, I mean, like I said, I mean, you walk into that building and it's just like, wow. I mean, you guys did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
It really looks awesome. Everything from, like I said, that big table that's made out of a tree stump just
Yeah.
looks awesome. You know,
Again, that was one of Jonathan Serra's things, and you know, he did a lot of stuff. He made the chandeliers, some other lights, some of the tables, live edge tables, and in the store, a lot of the merchandising shelves. So we owe a lot of that creativity to him, and it was pretty fun to work with him. The big cage that goes over the bar,
yep, that's another thing that caught my eye first time I walked in there.
storage cage around the corner, just a lot of fun stuff. And
It's unique.
Yeah.
It's super unique, and I've never seen that anywhere else. So whenever I see something that's even relatively close to that, I always think about Rush Creek. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, I know something like that. I've seen something like that before.
we took craft to the nth degree. You know, we're a craft distillery, and so the craft that went into building that distillery was kind of the same thing for us. And you know, a local kid doing all this stuff just felt right.
You guys have you've added on to that building here in
Yep.
the last probably 18 months.
I think we moved into it a year ago in January. 2 years ago in January. Yeah, it sounds better.
Sounds better.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Even when you're not.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, obviously you guys started making, you have more barrels sitting there, and you probably think to yourself like, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I kind of was planning in my head that it was going to hit about that time. And so we started doing some pre-planning, figuring out what we needed, how long that would last. And we came to the conclusion that 12,000 feet was going to get us through the next X amount of years.
Correct.
And I don't know if we're right, wrong, or indifferent.
You'll
yet.
find out.
Yes. So,
Not to be an asshole, but you hope you're wrong. You hope that's not enough.
because we can fix that problem. So it's worked out well. We were bulging at the seams when that became somewhat available. I mean, there was doors on, and we just finally said, we opened that door and we said, okay, some of that stuff has to go back there right now.
What do you guys use the add-on part for? I mean, is it for storage mostly, or?
Barrels, glassware, paper products, and our bottling equipment. So that was part of the need for that extra space. Is we wanted to have a bottling line that had a footprint that we didn't have to move. Prior to that, it was pieces that we, pulled out,
Moved
emptied
in
an area, and did our deed, put it all away. Now this is, I'm going to call it semi-automatic. There is 3 or 4 positions that need manual labor, but it can do the job of 8 to 10 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And so 3 to 4 people can run that at a high rate of speed, which is kind of fun.
So your bottles, Because you've got several different types. Well, at least 3 different types, right?
2 and a 375. So I'm going to say 3 different kinds. Yep.
Now, you have a glass maker somewhere that you guys all deal with?
We got a glass supplier.
That's what I should have said. Supplier, not maker.
Yeah, COVID was kind of a bear because you couldn't get glass.
You couldn't get anything.
Yeah. And the price was going through the roof. So we probably used 3 or 4 different suppliers at that point in time, and whatever we can get, we get.
And now
everything's better. Price is coming back down. Life is good.
Do you guys put your own labels on then right there
yes.
at the?
Yep. So
you got a machine that does that?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was our latest piece of our bottling line is the labeler.
Okay. And then, talk to me about this bottling line. How does this all work? I mean, do you have a scale up there that tells you how much it needs to put in each bottle as it goes down the line?
No, it's volumetric. So there's 6 heads that work on pumping in and sucking off. So there's head adjustments that line it up. Everything is level, and you put spacers in to get it to this height. Your problem is your glass isn't perfect, and so you get it within,
X amount of.
Yeah. Today we did a bottling run, and I was probably within 1.5 grams plus or minus, which is less than a milliliter.
Yeah,
which is way within the
specs that you probably need to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they give us 3%, so that's 321, 24 grams, and we're within 1.5. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
And when
but that's the way you want to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
I drill it down to the nth degree, and today I was like, we are in a bad part of the bottle because it was in this bigger dome here.
Okay.
And this is all temperature sensitive. So when it's cold, and it's cold in that room now, it's probably 58 degrees. We'll get down into this lower area. When it's 85 degrees, we'll be up into this smaller neck, and it's easier to adjust and pick up that.
To pick that nozzle up a little bit?
Up and down, and you can make those adjustments, and you'll be more precise. When you're dealing with that part of the bottle that's much wider, it's tough. You're
hoping,
shooting at straws. So the accuracy is pretty fantastic without using a scale. We use a scale to weigh it and measure to make sure that we are right on target.
The bottle and all, or just the alcohol?
We pick bottles, zero them out, and then we take that net weight. Of these bottles, I bet there's a 10-gram weight difference.
Which is still minute.
It is, but when you're trying to measure something to this degree of specificity.
Precise.
Yes. You can miss something. And so everything gets zeroed out. I try to find bottles that are all appropriately sized. So my variances are only a couple grams. I make note of the couple grams, and when we fill them, I do the plus or minus, and they become, the net volume in grams of the spirit.
There's a lot of math that goes into that thing.
Not that much. It's addition and subtraction.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you're 20 grams over or 20 grams under, you got to figure out that. And I'm sure you've probably been doing it long enough. You go, oh, well,
yeah,
I need to do this. I need to tweak that little bit right here. Boom. Yep. Try it again.
And we can actually do it with the timing of the pumps and the pump speed and the filling, because all this stuff will foam up. The higher the alcohol, the less foaming. The lower the alcohol, more foaming. So you can use that foaming to your advantage or disadvantage, change the speeds. So there's a couple things that after you do a few adjustments, you can tweak it with pump speeds, pump time.
Plus something you've been doing for a long time.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
So you can, the first time you did it, I'm sure you're like, what am I doing here? And now you can make those adjustments and you know how to make those adjustments because you've been doing it for so long.
Yep. And in 2 or 3 runs at it, typically we'll have it dialed in and say, okay, let's run.
How many bottles can you produce in a good day?
We could go over 1,000 an hour.
Holy That's humping
smoking.
right along.
Yeah, that's smoking. So in a good day, everything's running right. We can do 8, 9, 10 pallets, which is producing.
And how many barrels are on a pallet?
Barrels, we could probably.
Well, because
it depends on proof and stuff. Let's just say a barrel will produce at 90 proof 200 bottles ish. So there's almost 4 barrels in a pallet.
Yeah, you can move right along.
Yeah.
You can move right along doing that. Well, you have to, too. I mean, time is money, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. So the faster you can get those things bottled up and out on the shelf, better chance you're going to get them sold.
And we do some co-packing. So one of the things that we do is Rockin' Vodka. That's Rick Nielsen's vodka that he's the, what do you call that, spokesman for.
Mm-hmm.
And they're out of Rockford, so, they're good to us.
Good to help each other out.
Exactly right.
I get that.
And they're getting into more states every month, every year. And, that's the one that we can do the fastest because it's a pre-printed bottle. And
so you get the bottle, set it all up.
Yep. Go.
Slam it on through.
Yep.
And that's their vodka that you're putting through theirs?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a juice that somebody else makes, and we cut it and do the filtration, and we think we do a really good job. I know we do at the filtration.
I'll believe you. I'll believe you 100%. I'm learning a lot on this because I don't know a whole lot about it. So
it's all good.
So you do some bottling for them guys over there too. Well, that helps make that machine worth its while then.
Yeah. And we also do, I mentioned our consultant from Louisville. We do a project for him. He manages a brand for somebody else, and we do a couple things for them.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we're always looking for some more because let's keep that bottling running.
You got it.
Running a little bit more.
You got it.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
Right. So coming from when you guys first opened to where you are now, I'm assuming your products are not just in the 300-mile radius.
300 miles is pretty far. Think about it. So we are to central Illinois and all the way to the top of Wisconsin.
So you're pretty close.
That's, yeah. Top of Wisconsin is probably, 250?
You're probably pretty close there.
But you think about where we're at. We got Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Rockford, and all points in between. We have a big population
you
in
have
our
a
backyard.
Very big population. That is the one thing that's cool about our area, right? Because we're
the donut hole.
We're in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, you think about it. I mean, you drove down my road today. You passed 3 houses.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, but within an hour, you can be to any major city.
Well, we have more population within 90 miles of us than Chicago.
I can believe that. Because Chicago's its own unity, or its own entity. We have
it was
several different entities around us.
Absolutely. They got a whole bunch of water. We don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's major hospitals around here.
Yep.
That's one benefit to having us. There's hundreds of thousands of companies around us within an hour drive.
Yep.
It's just a unique place in the world, I think.
Yep.
Is where we're at, and it's just cool as hell. And especially it's cool because you guys, how did you come up with the name Rush Creek?
So that was a tough part. We spent a lot of time, probably had 200 names that were crossed off for this, that, or the other thing. I actually picked up a Harvard history book, and I was thumbing through it, and I saw, Rush Creek, and read a little bit about it. Headwaters in the Rush Creek Conservation District, and I said, Rush Creek makes sense. All the owners born and raised in Harvard, so similar to Rush Creek, born and raised in Harvard.
It just stuck.
Just seemed like a fitting name, and it stuck. Didn't think about some of the action words, rush. What's your rush? Just
all the lingo comes after you had the name.
Some of the fun stuff that Rush Creek offered us, we didn't think about it beforehand. It's just
something
happens.
that happened. Yeah. I know that the many times I've been to Rush Creek. What is it about a distill that you guys can't have a kitchen?
Oh, we could.
You could have a kitchen.
Yeah.
Because every time I'm there's always food trucks and, stuff like that. I just always thought that maybe the ATF got involved. It was like, hey, if you're going to be distilling, you can't have a kitchen.
No, we could have a kitchen. We just chose not to because we're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the idea with that is we're in production Monday through Friday, but Friday we're doing final distillations. Final distillations don't create a whole lot of dust, a whole lot of, so we clean it up on Thursday, and, it's one machine and a boiler running. It's quiet. It's quiet.
Nobody even knows what's going on.
Nope. Exactly right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I always thought that maybe there was a governmental deal on why you couldn't do that. No. But you guys really could, if you wanted to, you could do that.
I'd have a hard time devoting the space to it and the time and energy to.
And employees. Yep. I mean, then all of a sudden you got to have waiters and waitresses and cooks and chefs and everything else in between.
The cook, you nailed it.
I got it. I just didn't know. I mean, the food truck's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we have there's 30 different food trucks around the 30-mile radius from here. So it's a brilliant idea to bring them in and say, hey, come sit in our parking lot and we'll have alcohol serving and you have the food serving. Life's going to be good.
Exactly.
And you guys also do a lot of good entertainment there too.
Yeah. We figured that we might as well be the entertaining place of the area. So we always have a band on Saturday night. Sometimes we'll have something on Friday night, Sunday. We're doing trivia right now on Thursday night. We're doing some euchre tournaments.
I was saying the euchre tournaments.
We throw stuff at the wall, and if it sticks, we keep it up. The band thing, it stuck right away, so we just kept doing at least Saturday nights.
And it works.
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys had some great artists that have come in and through there that I've seen, and they do really well, and it looks like you guys do really well with it too. So it's a win-win.
It's fun if everybody expects that we're going to have music on a Saturday night, then they, plan their date nights around it or their get-togethers. It works.
Yeah, absolutely. The one question I was going to ask you, and you can tell me to go fly a kite if you want. I'm assuming there are a ton of rules and regulations that you guys have to follow from the alcohol, tobacco, firearms.
There is. And
can you talk about any of those?
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass.
Well, I already knew that was going to be said.
It's like a monthly tax return. And every state you have to file that you're in and report what you sent there. Some states you have to pay for. Some states it gets the burden is on the distributor. It's just, and everybody's different. So you have to learn there.
So Wisconsin's different than Illinois.
Correct.
Illinois is different than Iowa.
Correct.
Are you in Indiana?
We are not.
Not yet. Not yet is the keyword.
But we do all the Rockins reports, and they're in Texas, Washington, Georgia, Florida, Iowa. Well, we're in Wisconsin, Illinois, so those are second hand to us right now. But and then the TTB gets federal excise tax report.
What's TTB?
Bureau of Tobacco and Tax.
Whatever.
Yeah, TTB.
Another government
exactly.
freaking agency.
So it's a subsection of the IRS. They're responsible for collecting all the taxes.
So you literally have to tell the ATF or whoever how many bottles you sent to Wisconsin, how many bottles you sold in Illinois, how many bottles you bottled for Rockin' Vodka, and where all that went to.
Yep.
And this is on a monthly basis.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
And they know exactly how much we have in our inventory in grains, in production under process, barrels, proofs that it went in. There's documentation for everything.
So you literally have to document everything that you do. Has to be documented down to the milliliter, basically.
And every quarter, everything's supposed to be gauged. Every tank is supposed to be remeasured for volume and proof. Bottles in the, we do this monthly anyways, bottles in the facility. They're just everything.
Jesus.
So when the first of the month comes around, it's like, oh, damn. There's 12 of these a year.
This is going to suck until the next 28 days comes up.
Exactly.
February really sucks because it's so short.
Yeah.
How does that, so then do you guys, again, you can tell me to go fly a kite. Do you guys pay taxes on all those bottles then once a month that you distribute?
We do. Well, state-wise. For the feds, it's quarterly.
Okay. Still though, I mean, why? I guess I don't understand why that would have to be.
Oh, they love the alcohol industry.
Well, obviously the alcohol
they collect
industry
a lot of money.
is a ton of money in this world, but you'd think you could get by quarterly just to help you guys out some. But I could see how people might start trying to cheat the system then, and but I don't see how you could.
You really can't. It's set up. It's a 3-tier system. Started with Prohibition. So the supplier, the manufacturer, and the supplier, the distributor, manufacturer, and the not the end user, but the retailer or the bar restaurant. They all do their own reports. And so there's 3 people reporting on the other 2. If somebody's records are wrong or different,
they're going to know.
Somebody's going to get visited.
Yeah, and not in a good way, I'm sure.
Exactly. So, really good records is
key.
Yeah, key to keeping us out of trouble.
And that's a good thing, though. Like I said, I mean, the thing is, if you've got 2 other people that are watching you and you're watching 2 other people, it's hard to cheat that.
Yeah.
It just is.
It's not worth it. You could take our license away. It's not worth it.
Plus the fines. I'm sure they're going to be real cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd look at that fine once and go, well, guess I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, exactly.
If they even give you a warning, that would be the thing.
They've got
Hopefully
the
you
power.
don't find out.
They got the power. Yeah, exactly right. Hopefully never find out.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to find out either.
Or they come and check on us and we come through with flying colors and they leave us alone for 10 years.
And I'm sure that there's probably some of that out there, right? If you guys have had perfect records since you started, they probably look at you and go, just give me the stuff I need to know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fact, but that's how I would be. If I'm a health inspector, right? And I go into a cafe and I know this cafe is on the ball. They're doing it the right way. You take a quick look around. Yep. Everything looks good. This is how I would do it. I'm not saying that's how they do it, but this is how I would do it. If they've had a perfect record every time I've showed up, I'm going to do the bare minimum that I need to do, get the hell out of there, get to the next one.
Yep. The guy that's giving you trouble.
To the guy that's giving you trouble because their grease traps ain't been cleaned in 6 months or whatever.
And I know all their sins. Gotta write them all up again.
Uh-huh. The funny thing is like in the dairy industry, it's that way.
Yeah, I imagine.
Because they got milk inspectors that come in and they inspect your milk house and
Yep.
they inspect your tanks and your wash buckets and all that kind of stuff. And if it's not up to par, they literally tell you, hey, you got 3 months and we're coming back. If you haven't been bad before, you
Yep.
know, because if you've been bad before, they can say, hey, now you're not having grade A milk, you're having grade B milk, or we
Yep.
can shut you right down until you get this done.
Or if your milk doesn't test right, the guy you're supplying to is nicking you.
It's
So,
possible. Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna get nicked one way or another if you're not clean.
So the best thing for you guys to do is just do what you've been doing,
Yep.
making sure things are done the right way.
Absolutely.
God, that just sounds like to me that just sounds like a paperwork nightmare. But
It is. We have a program that helps us out, and we input into that program every day. When you're doing a distillation, you're doing a fermentation, you're doing a cook, whatever that is, it's all inputted at the time that you're doing it. So it keeps track of all that stuff and
up to date too.
Up to date, culminates it at the end of the month, helps us with those reports. It's, I don't know how you do it without it. That would pass muster with TTB.
Yeah. So your computer systems are really what keeps you guys ahead of everything.
Right.
As long as the operator's putting it in the right way.
And that gets checked out too at the end of the month when the reports come out, because if it's garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. The garbage out becomes apparent in these reports, and you just have to look back. Where did the garbage get put in? And rectify it.
Start skimming. So,
Exactly.
That number doesn't look right.
Yep, exactly right.
You guys, I'm going to flip the subject here just real quick. You guys make probably one of my favorite vodkas in the entire world, and that's your jalapeno vodka. I really enjoy
I should have
that.
brought it. I brought the coffee vodka.
That's all right. It's no big deal.
Because that just screams Christmas.
It does. It probably goes really good in actual coffee too.
It does.
Well, boss, I know what I'm drinking tomorrow morning. No, I'm just kidding.
So we make a coffee drink. It's kind of a Starbucksy. So it's cold brew, a couple ounces of cold brew, a couple ounces of the coffee vodka, and some cream foam. Something foam. Anyways, made with heavy cream, maple syrup, and vanilla, and whipped up. So a dollop of that goes on the top. It looks really pretty and tastes just like something Starbucks would make.
And it's delicious too,
It's
is what you're telling me.
It's delicious. It's got a purpose.
So why don't you run through some of those bottles you got sitting over there for me?
Sure.
And we can tell our viewers what exactly you got going on.
So I brought the 58% rye. So this is 58% rye, 32% corn, 10% malted barley. So we actually entered this into a contest it was early spring. The contest was in the spring. We won double gold, best category. That was through the American Distillers Institute.
Wow.
Yeah, we're really proud of that because it's our, the folks that do the same thing we do, and voted on by professional testers that, there's no bullshit. There's some awards that, okay, you pay $1,000, you get a gold. You pay $800, you get a silver. It's like, it really does happen that way. We believe in just entering contests that are actually, really focused on good flavor, and the truth, not how much money you gave us, and here's your gold, silver, bronze.
Don't even get a medal if that's the case.
Exactly.
You want to go up against the best of the best and be legit about it. Is what you're telling me.
And that's we got double gold, and if you don't get over 90 points, then nobody gets double gold.
So is the double gold is the standard then? It's
Yes,
the
that's-
highest measure of tasting that you can get.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That was in this category. There is best to show, and I don't even know what the best to show was, but there was somebody's favorite that stuck out over all the whiskeys, and didn't matter if it was a bourbon, a rye whiskey, but there was a best to show that people agreed to that was the highest standard.
Delicious.
Yeah. So we're very proud of that. That's
hell yeah, I would be too.
yeah. This is a 5-year-old straight rye whiskey, and I think it's delicious. Then we've got 100% rye, which you're gonna have to have a taste of this. So this is 100% rye, and it kind of struck me as I didn't expect this at all. It's 4 years old, and it has a minty flavor to it, spearminty.
Smells good.
And a gentleman that came out and tasted some of our barrels, I will give him my so-called whiskey geek. Guys that do this for a living, they run around and drink a lot of whiskeys and very analytical when they taste it.
Yeah.
But he was talking about it. He said, wow, you get a lot of mint. I was like, yeah, I get it, but is that good or bad? No, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, for 100 proof, it's actually really smooth.
It is.
Usually when you get to 100 proof,
Yeah,
you get that going on, you know, but that's
things get a little sideways at high proof.
And you don't need much of it. No, that I can taste that little minty that's in there, spearmint, whatever you want to call it. That's very flavorful.
Yeah.
Very flavorful. You guys nailed that one right.
Yeah. So we're excited about that too. We've got 2 bourbons. One is got a cheat. 16% corn, 74%. 16% rye, 74% corn, 10% malted barley. So we have that, and we have a 25% wheat with 65% corn, 10% malted barley. These are both 5 years old, and they're starting to really gain some fans, and we're loving it.
Absolutely. Like I said, you guys are doing something right there. It's obvious because you're in a 300-mile radius from here. You're in a whole bunch of different bars, I'm sure, and not only bars, but you're also in alcohol places that sell alcohol establishments like Cardinal in town and things like that. So I mean, you're doing something right.
Yep. So it's process, it's the material putting into the process, and it's people. And I think we're very fortunate to be this close into farm country.
I'm assuming all of your corn comes from local farmers then? Good.
Corn, rye, wheat, malted barley is the furthest one that.
Yeah, you have to go a little ways probably to get that.
Yeah, we
do. Barley isn't really grown around here, so.
And believe it or not, our water source is outstanding. It replicates what they have in Kentucky. Comes through limestone, and we've tested it, and it shows up with all the minerals that we need for good distillation. Yeah.
So it's super similar then from our water compared to theirs down there.
Yes, it is.
Wow, I would never guess that.
Coming through the limestone, I'd have guessed it does. But I didn't know how similar it really was. But good for us.
Hey, if that works with the barley, that's what matters.
Yeah,
I mean,
we knew that we might have to add something, and that's why we were testing it. And we know other guys that have to add different minerals to make their fermentations right. But we looked at it all. It's like, wow, everything's within limits, and
we nailed it.
Yeah. How good luck.
One in a row. Mm-hmm. That's the way I like to say that. That's just, you got any newer products coming out?
We're going to pull down our wheat whiskey. So we have a 51% wheat whiskey that's 2.9 years old. It's probably not ready yet, but we're going to pull it down and take a taste and see how far away it is. But that should be fun. Besides,
how far away do you think that is?
Probably a year and a half.
Another year and a half.
Yeah. Why?
Is 5 years kind of is kind of where you want to be at on whiskey?
So to have a straight bourbon, a straight rye whiskey, those all have to be aged 4+ years. So that gives you that straight designation. And that's when, you're probably, since it's straight, your consumer is going to say, okay, this is a quality product. To be able to say straight, you're putting out a good product, but sometimes we want to push a little bit further out, get a 6, 7, 8-year-old. And we're playing around with stuff like double oak that has really become popular.
Okay.
So the current one that we have out is oak. It's a 16% rye bourbon. And in the original cask, we'll pull it from the original cask and put it in a new cask. So it sees 2 new casks. And the one right now is 3.4, 1.5. So it's not quite 5 years. The next one that comes out will be 5+ years. So
good flavor.
Yeah, it was an experiment. We only put up 1 barrel, and we blew through it the first time. And we said that's not going to happen again.
Well, that's probably one of the fun things about doing what you guys do is because you can experiment with anything and everything and how you want to do it.
But the problem is, it's 3, 4, 5 years before you find out that, oh, damn it, that was a good experiment. Now we got to go backwards and go try to fill that pipeline.
Which probably the only people that know that it was a good experiment.
No, we fess up to being stupid. and only making 1 or 2.
Well, what I was saying is the good thing is you guys probably experiment among yourselves there and go, man, this was a really good idea. We can't take this public yet because we got to go back and recreate this to figure this out.
We admit to it. We're dumb.
No, it's not dumb. It's a good way to, in my opinion, it's a good way to tell your customers, hey, come back in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, we're not afraid of experiment.
No. But like I said, that's probably one of the fun things to do.
Yeah.
Is experiment. Because I'm sure you've probably done some stuff and you're like, nope, that ain't going to work.
Well, we just like the maple syrup and the honey. It's like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. We'll see what happens. And I think the first time we harvested the maple syrup, it's like, wow, really not a big maple syrup flavor. So we played with fortifying, just taking some maple syrup and adding it back in. And we're like, nah, it doesn't get it for us. Just, feels artificial. Let's just take it the way it comes.
But you tried it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you can say, hey, we literally want to try this because it sounds like it's a great idea.
Yeah. Well,
and we're not just pumped about it. So back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Something different.
Take it the way it is because it was good. But we had to try extremes. You got to try this extreme and that extreme. Is like, nope.
Push them boundaries.
Yeah, it doesn't do a thing for us.
Oh man. No, you guys are doing a great job. You got some awesome products. I recommend
thank you.
I recommend anybody in the local area to swing on by, or if you're driving through up to Lake Geneva or whatever, stop on in and have a beverage, and you guys make slushies too now. You have been making it.
That's only in the summer. We put away the slushy machine. So we probably start in April and put away in November.
Damn, sorry. Yeah. I'm 6 days off.
But it is, right? It is Christmas season, and nothing goes better than a bottle of spirits to your boss, to your employees, to your
absolutely
vendors, to your customers.
And if you're a whiskey person, you haven't tried this stuff, come on down.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Absolutely.
Because you guys make a hell of a whiskey. There's no doubt about that.
Appreciate that.
And a bourbon and a vodka.
Yep.
Now, I'm telling you, that jalapeno vodka, you guys got that down pat. That is just super good.
And you know the ingredients, right?
No.
Fresh jalapenos and vodka.
I can imagine it was that simple. But it works.
Yeah.
You guys got it the right way where it gives you a little kick.
Yep.
It's not a lot. It's really good flavor for the jalapeno, but it's got a little bit of heat to it. Yep. Just a pinch to it.
So Jorge, right down the street, he does a lot of jalapenos, and every year, Jorge, when's the jalapenos ready? Soon.
I seen him last night, talked to him for a few minutes, and he said that
He's awesome.
He's a great guy, and he's got a hell of a little business
Yes,
there
he
too.
does. Yep.
I mean, fresh vegetables right
Yep.
down the street from you guys too.
Yep.
So, Mark, I know your time's worth a lot, so we can wrap this bad boy up. Thank you.
I appreciate
for coming
that.
over and explaining how Rush Creek all started and some of the in and odds out that you guys got to deal with on a daily basis that not a lot of us know about.
Well, I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. You can come back anytime you want.
Thank you.
Mark, I appreciate you.
Yep. Good
Thank
to
you.
see you.